This is Spike SLAWSON from Me First and the Gimme Gimmes, and you're tuning in to Heavy Mag.
Beautiful, Spike. Thanks for joining us today, brother.
Not at all. Thanks for having me.
My pleasure. So, Me First and the Gimme Gimmes release your new live album, Blow It, at Madison's Quinceañera on June the 14th, mate. It's not your
Well
first.
done.
I did it all right, didn't I?
Well
Now,
said. Yes,
she's not your first rodeo or bar mitzvah, bro. So, do you still get nervous at this stage of the career before an album comes out?
absolutely. But it was our first quinceañera party. Like it's devised, it's intended to be awkward and comic and tragic, uh, all at once. And so when if it is a success, then it's likely going to be excruciating in the moment, if that makes any sense. Like it's very nerve wracking. Like we vetted the contestants that won the dubious prize of having us play their quinceañera party, and we wanted to make sure that there were no natural allies in attendance, like nobody that knew who we were or was going to be inclined to liking us or our performance. That was very important to us. But then, and it was the right decision. But when I was about to go out and actually face the crowd, it was difficult. It was a challenge. But we had a good time. The crowd eventually they turned around. I think we finally played a song from this millennium, and that made a big difference, I think. And there were light sticks and snacks and refreshments, and and furthermore, in the intermission between our two sets and after our second and last set, the DJ played uh, for hours music that Madison and her friends liked and recognized and could dance to. So they had a great time. But while we were playing, there it was definitely touch and go at some certain points. People were leaving in droves at one point. You could see like there were some people that were giving me kind of nasty looks. There were people writing messages to one another, sort of surreptitiously and looking us up at us and shake. You can see it in some of the video footage. We're not for everybody, I guess, but to our credit, I will say I think we turned it around.
Very good. The season.
Ultimately, much like any of our live shows, any successful live show, at least to me, we're able to troll a crowd to the point of vocal expressions of displeasure, maybe even booing, before we reel them back in and make friends. And funny enough, I was just talking about this. Those are sometimes your best. You sell the most T-shirts on those nights when you get the crowd aggravated, and when you make them feel like they're not necessarily in on the joke, like they don't know whether they should be offended or you know humored, or it's I think that's the secret to our success,
It's a
modest though it may be.
very fine line too, isn't it? Between being pissed off, being excited, being turned on, or being repulsed.
Yeah, they're not distant cousins. I gotta say, they're definitely related.
Now, I'm guessing quinceañera is a Spanish word because of the accent over the R. Like over here in Australia, mate, we've got no idea what that is, bro. So can you tell us what it actually is?
It's a sweet 15 birthday party. So I don't know how widespread it is, but I don't think that you like it's a common thing in Spain, for example, but certainly in Mexico and Central America, it is a big event, not only in a 15-year-old girl's life, but in her family's life, because that is it's a girl's coming of age ceremony. In fact, we learned a song called La Última Muñeca, which means the last doll. And that song is about she's wearing lipstick, that she's changing and developing, and he never gives the doll to her. He just keeps it behind his back. And the song is meant to be kind of sad, but also like a celebration of of coming of age. So that's kind of what it is. And some of them people, what 15-year-olds need like 5 kegs, at their party. But and this one certainly did not have 5 kegs. There were snacks and refreshments, but so in other words, it's a big event for the family as well, for her uncles and cousins and mom and dad, and they definitely have a good time too.
Right. That actually raises a good point. Like Madison, like as a 15-year-old, they're carefree. They don't really give a fuck about much in the world. But how did a parent, like the parents, this is a big deal for them. Like, how did they go with it? Like, did they get angry, or did they sort of sit back and enjoy the experience?
They sat back and enjoyed it. Some of her uncles got a little mad at some of the off-color jokes that we told. Nothing inappropriate, but like I said, it was touch and go at points. But mom and dad really dug it, and I talked to Madison afterwards, and she had a great time. And as I said, the DJ played a lot of music that they could actually dig. And to our credit, we did play an Olivia Rodrigo song, so we can get contemporary with the best of cover bands.
Now, listening through it, bro, like it opened with changes from Black Sabbath, which sounded like it went down like a lead balloon. Like in hindsight, would you
It
open with
did. Yes, absolutely. No, it wasn't hindsight. Hindsight, I was happy that I did it. It was the present tense that I had a hard time with. Like, man, am I really about to go out and play a Black Sabbath song? And we did. And like I said, it was an inside joke, so it is a very fine line between, like, because we did not want to mock the family at all, especially not on a special day. But at the same time, we were trying to make something humorous, for hopefully for them, for ourselves, for the people that will hopefully listen to the record and find it humorous. Like, for example, like I'm proud of the music on the record, but I think a lot of what will really put the listener in the moment is in between the songs, and you can sort of hear how excruciating certain moments were, um as in people leaving and just people sort of staying seated in their chairs. Like, it wasn't, hey, move up. Like, how many times can you say that, before it starts to sound like begging, you know but go ahead.
so on that matter, like you've kept in like the between song comments and all the banter. Like, is that all fair dinkum from the night, or did you go back later on and add something there?
No, that was all from the night. Some of it's premeditated, but a lot of it is, it's I never know how to troll a crowd until I'm in front of a crowd, if that makes any sense, as far as like the timing, and as far as like writing those fine lines that you spoke about. Like, it's like it's a chemistry. You can write things down that you'd like to say, but maybe a third of them or less actually work, and it's all about chemistry. And that's what's, to me, is so hard to capture about any kind of recording. And to me, like, a great record, the mark of a great record would be that it is an event that sort of resonates and snowballs through time, and people interpret and misinterpret and make up stories in their head about. You do it subconsciously every time you listen to a record. Like, I wonder what it was like in the recording studio. Like Exile on Main Street, like things like that are actually famous, or there's like documented history about how it went down. But I'm sure a lot is fabulated, and I'm sure a lot of the stuff, like, you listen to it, and then the more people that do that, you make a record kind of like a mythical kind of thing. And so my cheat code to having a record like that was to actually make it an actual event. and have that sort of resonate through time. And there is video footage, so you can actually see that we weren't, that's not prefabricated or anything like that. And you can see what a horrible time her friends and family are having, at least for the first 45 minutes or so. But there's a lot that I hope, just it's exemplary of what our live show is like.
There's one point there you actually sing "Happy Birthday" to Madison, mate. Like, did she blush? Did you manage to freak her out?
No, I think she was like, I think she was embarrassed by us or something like that. Like, what, you know what I mean? Like we were an overweening parent or something like that. You know what I mean? Like, get out of here, gimmies. You know what I mean? Like no, no, she kept her composure. She was dressed beautifully. She had a huge quinceañera dress. And no, she did not betray any, she didn't blush and she was a good sport throughout the entire thing. And that was important to me. To see that she actually had a good time was the most important thing. Because had she had a bad time, had we just been purely trolls, I would have felt terrible.
Bless her cotton socks. Now,
Yeah,
you also featured a horn section for the first time, mate. Like, how was that? How did that go down?
pretty good. I mean it. They a lot of the times they well, I would say they wrote a good line sort of in the middle of honoring the original arrangements and sort of creating their own based on different time signatures and velocity and all that kind of stuff. I think they did great, and I think it really added to it made it feel like a party, like an extravaganza event, sort of. I think by the time we got the horn players out, people were like, okay, all right, like these guys aren't just taking the piss. You know what I mean? Maybe we'll move up and dance a little bit. So yeah, I was very happy we were able to include that. I think, like, I'm not crazy about like 90s ska by any means, but like for example, I was just talking about the Saints, the first track on Eternally Yours, which I'm sure you're familiar with, and that's got a whole wind section in it, and it's one of the toughest punk songs ever, or rock songs for that matter, ever played. And no, man, Alice Cooper. There's a lot of great examples of wind sections in rock music, and we only did it in the Mexican songs. So that was another thing in songs where that already had that either had wind parts or like string parts that could be imitated with horns. So yeah, and both the guys, both as players, they're both inimitable,
Yeah.
consummate professionals.
Just like yourselves, brother.
Oh, you're sweet to say that.
No, just say someone's stumbled across this interview, mate, and they've got no idea what the fuck we're talking about. Like, what's the best way to introduce them to me first in the Gimme Gimmes and what you do?
Well, I'm hoping that this record will be, like we've been playing and recording since '96 or so. But this record is like a culmination of what we've been doing the whole time and how we've been developing our live set. I say developing, but it's just really just a trolling instinct. Like I can't, like praise and unconditional, unfettered applause. It's like it kind of turns my stomach a little bit. Like that might sound condescending and elitist or something, but I would much rather have it peppered with some booze and like I said, man, you sell more t-shirts on those nights. I don't know why. It's something about the human animal. Like we love to be trolled, and then as long as you close the circle and you're laughing and you pretend to be friends at the end and everything, I think that's the key. But like, the farther you take them to the point where they're not sure if they're supposed to be offended or like disapproving, the better merch night you're gonna have. Why? I don't know.
That's just the way it is.
Human nature.
All right, Spike. Well, thanks very much for your time, bro. It's been a pleasure speaking with you. Blow It at Madison's Quinceañera is out June the 14th, and it's another slab of excellent from me personally. Gimme, gimme. So do yourselves a favor and
Well said. Well said. Quinceañera, you said it. You said exactly right.
I've written it down. I've spelled it out how you pronounced it, so it's made it a lot easier.